What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I want to talk about the overall market. Please note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Webull link. If you deposit any amount of money, you're guaranteed 12 free stocks. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 of them. If you deposit $25,000 or more, and you're guaranteed 75. The offer ends in just 3 weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So I wanted to mention to everyone that we got some negative news that came out. Today, we had a couple of Fed speakers like Bowman and Kashkari, and Kashkari came out and said some very important things about the economy. He mentioned that despite the labor market looking quite strong so far, the Fed is trying to keep it that way, but the balance of risks are tilting towards higher unemployment. He also mentioned that the US economy is resilient nonetheless, and they don't really see signs of resurging inflation. However, unemployment is still at risk in his opinion. So this is actually something very important he said. That's not what the stock market wanted to hear, and we saw this little dip as a result of many of his words. So with the Fed speakers coming out and kind of like talking about the risks involved of the high interest rate environment we're in, the stock market had a more negative reaction so far. We're looking at some very, very key levels on SPY, but I just want to mention that we have a possible head and shoulders right here on SPY that could be developing if we don't surpass these highs. And if we lose 565, this thing is going to be dumping easily down to about 561, if not 557. There's going to be a dump in SPY if we don't end up holding 565. I also want to mention that when you look at the daily charts, we have a rising wedge-like structure that's been developing on SPY. I haven't drawn out the lines, but you guys could see this is resembling like a rising wedge right over here. If you want to see it, this is what it would look like. Like you could draw this out just like this, just to see perspectives of what is kind of developing. So we will see if this pans out now or later. I made a video about this over the weekend about how we had this rising wedge as well, but there's no sign that this is truly rejecting and it's truly playing out yet. So we'll have to wait and see how well this holds up. But my view is as we get closer to the election time, there's going to likely be a lot of volatility, a lot of risk in the markets, and a lot of fear, which is going to lead to these declines. I think the rising wedge will play out, but we may have to wait until closer to the end of October, if not by November, to really see this happen. So that's what my view has been. It is possible the decline is starting now, and we're about to start to see this decline, which will eventually bottom closer to the election time. We'll see about that. But as of right now, there's a rising wedge, and there's also that very, very key head and shoulders on the smaller time frames, which does lead to a confluence that will suggest that the downside is at risk. So if you want to be bullish on SPY, you want to get back above at least 570. If we can't reclaim 570, there's going to be a risk of us retesting 565. If that support breaks, there's going to be a bigger decline, but that hasn't happened yet, so we have to be very patient. For ES, we have a head and shoulders like structure as well. We need to reclaim 5770 to turn back up. If we can't do that, we're looking for 5700 flat as our main support. And then if that fails us, we could easily come down to our 200 EMA at the 5680 area. So we also have that head and shoulders on ES. It looks a little bit more bearish, but that depends on if we end up losing 5725. If that's the case, this thing is going to decline. Nvidia is outperforming the market, but we did go up to this 130 target I had only to reject back down because we had some tough resistance up there. And with the market decline, that also dragged Nvidia down a little bit. We're looking for 127.8 as our main support. If that fails us, this is going to decline more. So be very mindful of that. For Bitcoin, we're at some tough resistance at 64,000. We have support at 62,600. We're stuck in the middle, and we'll see which way this goes. If we lose the 62,600 area, we could be dipping, so give this some time. For the QQQ, we have 20,000 as our main support. If that fails us, we're looking for essentially 19,800, not to mention 19,750. We also have this resistance around this 20,200 area, but there is going to be decline potential on this. We have a head and shoulders. You could even interpret this as like a cup and handle that could lead to more downside, an inverse cup and handle. However you want to interpret this, it looks a little bit more bearish. So it's looking weaker. We need to get back above 20,100, or else this thing's at risk of declining. The QQQ started off with a pump only to decline. We're barely holding support around the 482 area. If that fails, this time we might be coming down to fill the gap at 475. So there's a risk of that if we don't hold 482 going into tomorrow. So I want to keep that in your guys' minds. Aapl looks more bearish. We're looking at our 200 EMA support. If that fails us, we're looking for a decline to about 218. For the IWM Russell 2000, we're looking at support at 215. If that fails us, we're looking for this gap to fill down to 212. So those are going to be your main supports. We have 218 as resistance. I think 215 could be tested. And we'll see if it holds. If not, 212 is coming. Coinbase is rejecting right here. If this fails us, we're looking for a decline back down to about 163. Amazon's also rejecting right over here. We have 180 support. There's a head and shoulders. If 180 fails us, we're looking for a decline down to 178. For Meta, we're declining to about 582. If that fails us, we're looking for 569. So it looks more bearish. Microsoft is looking more bearish. If 409 fails us, we're going to be declining more. And then for Google, we look a little bit more bearish. If we can't hold above 165, we're at risk of coming down to fill the gap to 163. So I'm sorry if I went a little bit too fast. I want to get this video out there as soon as possible to assist you guys. So the market's at risk of more downside if key supports end up failing us. But we're still holding supports. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. I do see a head and shoulders developing on SPY, the QQQES, and the others. So we'll see how that goes. I want to thank you all so much for listening. So have a great day and peace out.